board, pretty straightforward tonight. 2 items from the 4 items that we saw are listed to on Wednesday, July 5th meeting. In the first, the planning commission requests a motion of the town board of East Troy to approve a land separation CMS request as stated at West 2251 St. Peters Road, East Troy, Wisconsin, parcel number PA 169600002. Real straightforward, property, large enough to sustain a 5-acre carve out, as an R1 parcel. It's the Lambert's property, and they are essentially preparing a parcel for the daughter to build a home.
Alright,
So I make a motion that the board, approve this land separation CMS request.
I'll second.
okay, second discussion, question. Hearing none on the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carried.
The second item, the planning commission requests a motion by the town of East Troy board to approve a conditional use request as stated at North 9402 Stone School Road, Barnville, Wisconsin, zip code 53149, parcel number PA 306800004. This is for a hobby farm designation. Really very straightforward in terms of the county ordinance, chapter 74-4 and section 74-61, agriculture related uses for hobby farm. In essence, we have a property that is eligible for the hobby farm status with this zoning designation, having the qualified number of animals, qualified manure disposal, removal, and lastly, the topography is such on this property that the location of the barn is problematic with the setbacks, except for a hobby farm, which has setbacks that allow for the location of the barn as proposed. So I'd like to make a motion that the town board approve this conditional use request.
Second.
Alright, we have a motion and a second discussion.
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious, I'm familiar with the property, I drove by, and my understanding, they're kind of like right, the side yard, are they talking about 35 feet setback from the road? Cause it
No,
seems like
from
it's a
the-
big drop there.
There is a railroad, so it's back there, and the topography is such that with their builder, for this hobby farm, once they adhered to the 100-foot setbacks, they were faced with significant topography limitations, bringing in fill, grading. I don't think you can see it from the road.
Right.
And also, I should have mentioned that both neighbors have low letters of support, both the Roberts and the Griffins. It's just, with the assistance of the county zoning administrator, and suggesting the hobby farm designation, they can locate the barn and then safely place their primary residence and well, and prevent runoff problems with the manure.
Any other question or discussion? Okay, motion to approve that, conditional use, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None. Alright. That's the only 2 items we have, thank you very much. Alright, public comments period number 1. Anybody? John?
Please, if you could, reiterate where that meeting's gonna be, the public meeting for the dredging
It's online.
online?
It's online, if you want me to forward the link or.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Okay, and then, in our, township here, Does anybody know on county roads, how much of those county roads percentage wise are 35 miles an hour or less?
I do.
What would that number be?
Northern Highway L, 8.5 miles are 55 miles per hour, half mile is 35, that's the rural stations. County ES, 3.3 miles is at 45 miles per hour, and 6/10 at 35 is the Elgin Primary and Fire Station. And J is 1.9 miles at 35 miles per hour, 1.2 miles at 45, and 1.2 miles at 55. So there's 1.2, there's 4.7 miles of those county trunks that are 55.
Okay, so has the town board, thought about how they're gonna enforce? Because right now, as of July 1st, any county road in our township is eligible to have ATV, UTV use on it. And I got that from Richard Huff at the county. So basically, we have a quagmire for enforcement, because certain parts of the road you can ride on legally, and certain parts of the road you can't.
That's why we have, 9C, where we're gonna authorize Attorney Mills to look at that, because there is a conflict between state statute and county ordinance, and that's gotta be figured out.
Okay,
Yes.
has there been any progress on the, 1,485 feet on St. Peter's Road that the village has jurisdiction on?
You'd have to go to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, another question I have is, I noticed down on, 10B, it says, authorize attorney to amend the ordinance regarding limit on public comments and placement on the agenda the same. Are we going to be doing away with our 2 public comments?
That's what's gonna be discussed, it's not my item on here, but it appears that would be probably the case. That's gonna be the discussion.
So, would it be, make a lot of sense to, put the public comments in a certain spot on the agenda that you can't have a comment after the board takes action or talks about something? It seems to be more convoluted, like, I'm not knocking on the village, but the village of East Troy does the public comments in the beginning, which doesn't give anybody any time to listen to what the board has to say on it. So it seems like we have it right, and they might not have it right over there. I'm not knocking them, but I'm just saying, I'd like to be able to hear what the board has to say before I make my public comments.
And that's what will be discussed when we get to that item.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Further comments, anyone? Okay.
Ken Zes, Belfield Road. I'm representing the residents on Belfield Road on the agenda to, I guess, to get Belfield Road designated rustic road. The ultimate purpose is to lower the speed limit from Highway 20 to Hillsborough Mill. If we can achieve that without the designation, I'm all for it, as the residents would be good. Thank you.
Yes. Go ahead.
I'm here tonight to talk about financial reporting. Our town's done a great job of, improving on the packet and the information since August 2022, and thank you for that, that's wonderful. In the packet, the clerk and the treasurer has provided a written report of activities throughout the month. Again, that's very helpful, and I appreciate that as well. In, February and March of this year, the packet of the treasurer also included information about settlements and disbursements. And again, I thought that was a great start to providing town financial information. For the rest of the year, there's only been verbal reporting of settlements, transfers, very common of what happened tonight. I think it's really difficult to follow. I don't have any numbers or anything in front of me. And I'd like to understand why that's not provided today in the packet. So going forward, I'm asking the board to consider, providing enhanced financial reporting to the town residents, by providing a schedule of revenue, expenditures, and changes in the general fund for the current year's budget, the year-to-date actuals, and the variance. Reporting on a monthly basis would ultimately be the best, but I understand there are times of the year what might be tough, but I'd at least like a quarterly report. The landfill fund would be helpful, but it's not as important as the general. I've seen the town's budget worksheet, which provides prior year, current year, detail for budget, actuals and variance. And since the town's financial system already has the standard report, I don't think there would be, it wouldn't be difficult to run this report year to date each month and share it with residents. There may be other reports that the financial system uses. I don't know what financial system they use, but maybe there's one for just the current year, and maybe there's a consolidated version. I know the budget worksheet is 16 pages long, it's big. So I'm just asking for your consideration to provide that information going forward.
Okay.
If you need examples, I'm happy to provide them.
And we have discussed this as a board before, we will consider this.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. Four seconds in. All right, anybody else come, public comments? Okay, forward here. Unfinished business, update on East Troy Road, Museum Bridge and Beach Road. As we discussed at our last month's meeting, we sent the purchase agreement basically to the railroad, and they sent back, a letter or correspondence that said they wanted to wait until they see if the earmarks, that they requested through Senator Baldwin's office came through, and they did not. So I called up Ryan Jonas and said, okay, here we are. No sense waiting anymore because we know the earmark, you know, the long shot that it was, did not occur. And we can't wait any longer because we had, at least 3 funding opportunities here that will fund anywhere between 80 and 100% of the project. But the only way it happens, as we know, is we have to own the bridge. So I will be meeting with the CEO, Ryan Jonas, and President Ward on 7/17. He requested that we sit down on his patio and work out the final details on this. They agree in principle. They agree that this is how it's gotta be done. And I don't know what they're gonna, bring up for questions, but, I should have then, for our August meeting, pull the trigger on that, maybe even sooner. They may sign the contract.
Their attorney said without numbers, he can't recommend that they.
That's what he said originally. The attorney's not invited to this meeting. So let me tell you something there. Hopefully. But the numbers are pretty obvious. We already discussed all the numbers. The question is will it be a rehab, will it be a replacement? And there's options on all of those. Hopefully I'll have an answer by the 17th. And if necessary, we'll call a special meeting to just finalize that and have some changes that have request. We'll see. But when we approved that contract, we pretty much said, here it is, you're on the hook until it's replaced, you know? And I think they realize that, they said they agree.
I'm gone from the 21st to the 30th. 30th I'll be back.
All right, so that's where we're at on that. All right, consideration of installing speed bumps on Fairway Road. Kind of a preface to this, remember, a couple of years ago, we put, speed bumps on, East Shore Road, and then within a couple of weeks, we had some complaints, not some complaints, one complaint that said, unsafe, that's called throwing the safety card. And, as you know, in any governmental situation, if a municipality is put on notice of a potential safety issue and does nothing, and then an accident does occur, the town would be considered potentially liable, because of negligence. What's different about this request is first of all, it's a small section of road that really the only people that really should be on there are people that live there, and 99 or 95% of the people that live in that road sign this. And if we ever went back to East Shore, we'd probably request the same thing, that you get signatures of everybody that wants to sign off on it. So that's what's different here, and, Chad brought up a great point last month, saying, yeah, you've got to open the door here, if you go ahead and approve this, then we can kind of expect you potentially in the next, every month, another request for another road to do it. The speed bumps, I think, work relatively well, Blue Lake, and, I believe Troy puts those in, right?
Yeah.
And they're a little bit softer, so a little less effective, but they still have complaints where people will slow down for the bump and then race up to the next bump, slow down and go over it, whatever, so they're not 100% effective. So this question came up, and I told the applicant, I said, well, you know, you petition the board, which we did, we got petition last month. And it's, everybody except there was one person on there that's not against it, that said, I was saying anything, you know? So the people that live there want it, but I rode that road plenty of times, and you guys can all speak up if you think of it. It's 25 miles per hour now, so the issue probably is not the speeders for the people that live there. It's probably for, they mentioned UPS or delivery trucks or something.
Sure.
Okay, and I don't know, you know, those people, all you need is take down that license number and report it to, you know, FedEx or Amazon or whatever, and that driver's gonna have a problem because they won't get that address. So is it a problem? Is it not? I guess, interested to see what the board thinks is. Check on you started last year. What do you think?
The gentleman who came last month said, well, no, because of, you know, I don't think speed bumps are always the answer. I think there's a lot of steps that maybe they could go forward to, like, you know, where there was discussion, I think Attorney Mills said, in a road over by you or in your community, every yard put a sign up. Like, make it a point, you know, and if everybody's signing a piece of paper, well, let's get the ball rolling with some signage. You can put their own signage in their yard, which is, you know, fine. I think there's some areas, like the Booth Lake, I'm on the board over there, and they're actually wanting another one. And I've been witness when we did the Centennial last year, there's straight trucks that I don't even think should be on that road that came flying by there when we were trying to get ready, and I'm like, wow, like, and they're like, this is all the time. There'd be 150 kids, little kids there. I mean, I know we have the fence and there's a stop sign, but I think the potential of the and I'm not saying, you know, just one child, or I'm not, you know, separating, but there's a potential right there with that hill that it's, people are getting pretty reckless, but I think that maybe you're right with the discussion on license plates from UPS or Amazon or FedEx, because that was one of the big culprits, is everyone else is signing. And I'm sure there's a couple on the road that, you know, kids are, you know, when parents aren't with them, or they're just driving, or, you know, but to start calling that in, I think would be a good way to do it, because there's a lot of small roads, including the one I live on, you can barely get 2 cars wide. And people go fast, I mean, I'd love speed bumps and spike strips and all sorts of stuff, but, you know.
That's the question.
I mean, and I get it, I've stopped people and asked them, you know, slow down, and I mean, there's kids, there's dogs, and I get it, but I just think that it's really gonna start opening up the can of worms in our community, and our DPW is running like mad as usual, you know, summertime, cutting grass, doing this, you know, getting ready for winter, and not that, I don't think they can handle it, but we're just gonna start putting more workloads on putting in speed bumps certain times of the year to get them out. Why aren't they out yet? I could just envision some of this stuff happening, but I'm only one vote, so.
I guess, I wondered, do we need to do a speed study on the road first? I know we did some of that activity in some other areas. I think when we put the automated speed signs out there, it definitely slows people down. I saw the report for Stone School Road. I think definitely, I know people speed on their road, but when the sign is there, people slow down. Maybe, you know, we should take a look at some of the data, to see if it is just the delivery trucks or something like that. If we can look at, some other actions before we jump right to speed bumps. And I'm a little disappointed that they're not here tonight to follow up the
Anybody here
residents
from Fairway?
from Fairway.
I've driven the road twice. I have been on the road with my bike. And that's not a safe thing for me to do, but, I really worry about the speed bumps, and there are lots of kids in the neighborhood, and I'm just wondering if they were to hit the speed bump with their bike, if that wouldn't cause more of a problem than putting up the sign. I really like the automated sign. I know that it makes a difference when I'm driving and I see the speed bump flash. But I've seen where cars on my street are slowing down because of that. And so I wonder if that isn't a good thing. I also love the idea of writing down the time or the license plate of the vehicle. Because I think that provides some really interesting data that could be more specific.
Bill?
Scott, if you were gonna put speed bumps, would you put one on each end? One by Horseshoe and one by, East Shore?
Yeah, they'd be in a ways from the start, probably 100 feet or so.
But would there be two?
Probably be three.
Three.
Is where you got the split by grassy on that corner.
One thing I'd say about speed bumps is I hate them in terms of being the motorists driving over them. And everybody on this road, are gonna have the pleasure of driving over 2 or 3 speed bumps every time they go to work, go to the gas station, go to the grocery store. In a way, they're the ones that are gonna be punished more than anybody, because at least
There's
twice, they're going to be challenged each time they enter and return to their homes. But I've been on the road about 15 times, on my car, on my bike. Once driving with my wife, and she said, what's your speed right now? This is perfect. I was going 23. She said, this is perfect. You can see as a driver, you could react. Well, the speed limit's 25 on that road, so. Speed limit to me seems right. Seems to me as if the entire neighborhood is tuned into the phenomena of safe driving. So the culprit, if anything, are visitors or service deliveries. And I think that should be the focus of our interventions. I don't see speed bumps as a solution. My biggest concern is there's gonna be more requests, more and more requests.
And there is a little bit of a noise component when you go over them. I mean, it's subtle, but if you hear it every day over and over again, whether it's squeaky brakes or the little thump when you go over, you complain about the noise. Can't win.
Also, do we have speed bumps as an additional cost?
We have all of it from when we did East Shore. They were in for 2 weeks before they were out.
Those are probably too steep to, I mean, they're effective.
They got your attention.
They're effective. And that's the whole thing with any traffic calming device is to be effective, it's gotta be able to change behavior. If it's too subtle of a bump, people will go, oh, that was not so bad, that was at 5, now it's at 10. Well, 15 ain't bad either, and before you know it, it's no effect. Ones on East Shore, they've got your attention. And the complaints are, safety for bikes, and it was also pedestrians, they said, where's the guy gonna go with the baby stroller? Well, I don't know, the baby stroller on any road is really good, but that was one of the complaints.
No sidewalks.
But if those speed bumps were a safety concern, because we're gonna have the same issue with bikes on that road as well.
Very
So
well.
is there a sense for us to even hold on to those
I'll use it for bumpers.
Can they be, I don't know, trimmed or shaved or something?
They're a hard resin, hard plastic, yeah, it's, yeah.
Chief, you got any comment on this at all? Speed bumps? No comment?
I understand it and I've heard everything, and my comment, having some friends that were former UPS drivers, my guess is as soon as you put those speed bumps in, UPS hits that at a little higher speed and he's repacking his load in the back, my guess is he's gonna slow down. And as one of the board members says, probably 2 weeks after that, we're gonna be back out there pulling them out. So are they effective? Absolutely. Will they get the point across to the delivery drivers when their load shifts because they hit it at 25 miles an hour and it rattles their cage and half their load spills to the floor? Yes. Will it ultimately fix the behavior? No, because as soon as those speed bumps are gone, the behavior will return.
All right, I'm kind of hearing here is maybe possibly a couple steps could be taken here. One is to have the people throw a notice saying, hey, you got a violator there, get the plate, get the truck, whatever, and turn it in, so that'd be something we could follow up on. And maybe even put that automated sign, in, even though it'd be a low number. It is effective because people think that it's actually a video recording, and it's not, right? It's a
Don't say that.
Yep.
But that's the first impression you get when you see it, you know, they say, oh yeah, it's gonna record everything. Well, maybe one that he got. Anyway, if there's no more discussion, we should figure out what to do. Yeah.
Are there any like children at play signs there or anything like that?
I didn't
That
notice
help
it.
anything?
I did not see any.
I mean,
That would be
Do
it.
we have some of those available still?
We can, yeah, we can definitely get them, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember if there's any along there
So, it's not gonna make a difference for them to record a license plate and a time of day and report it to us. They need to call Amazon, they need to call the post office. So maybe they want to do some signage, maybe they wanna put out slow children at play, maybe they wanna say, we report reckless driving, speeding to your employer at each beginning, things like that, start with some of that signage in their yards.
Well, and everybody on the road seemed to sign that petition, so
Yeah.
everybody should be all in. If
Yeah, and
let's
they said they
let's
do
put up a
signs.
ton of signs, let's do this to really
They
let
said
them
they
know,
do.
you know, I mean, it's almost doing some.
Some of those
Should be a
orange
town
flags
expense.
will get their attention as well.
Those are kind of nasty. The thing about, one thing I bring up,
We're gonna have to do it.
yeah, one reason I bring about the reporting unit for us is, people, they may have complained about it, but they won't take the time to call in or find, you know, UPS or FedEx or whatever. We certainly could, but, again, once a couple of those guys get reported, they'll stop doing that, because they'll lose their job. Okay, so, I'm thinking these peripheral things should be tried, so we need a motion with consideration, installing speed bumps, we need a motion on this up or down.
I make a motion that we do not go ahead and install speed bumps at this time, and in hopes that people on that road will try to do a little due diligence and with some signage and phone calls and some other options.
Second.
Barb, second, any further discussion? Hearing none on the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carried.
And can we ask the police chief if they will put this speed sign up there?
Well, we have the speed sign, oh, you mean the automated one?
Yeah.
How long are you gonna keep the one up where you got it now?
We usually leave it up until it goes dead, which is about 10 days, and then move it. I think it's over on East Shore right now.
It is, okay.
It's on East Shore.
I would say after you bring it in next time, send it out there for 10 days, just to get a read on, I'm kind of interested in the number of vehicles that really go through that, you know,
Yeah.
so, okay. All right, authorize attorney notes, research, Steve,